Hello beautiful friends! Today I'm so excited to be bringing you another book haul. So I did one of these last month, which was exclusively a library book sale haul. This one is kind of a big grouping of books I checked out from my library. They had another library book sale where some books were marked down to 25 cents. I couldn't pass that up. And then I did order a couple books for some specific things, and I also received 2 books kindly from some authors, so I'm going to share all of that today. This video is pretty equally separated between cozy mysteries, and thrillers. I will have chapters so you can jump around as you wish. And let's go ahead and start with cozy mysteries. Okay, so 2 of the books I specifically ordered online used for cozy mysteries are ones for series I'm so excited for and I just haven't been able to find. The first one is the Berry Basket Mystery Series by Sharon Farrow. This is called Dying for Strawberries. It's book 1 in the series and I have been dying to read this. My friend Tiffany, I will link her channel down below, of Beach Bum Bookworm, sorry, I always like switch up letters when they're similar, recommends this series, and it's an amazing, like it screams spring and summer to me, the entire series, and I just wanted it so badly. So this one involves a town's first annual Strawberry Moon Bash. This takes place in a small town in Michigan. Our main character is Marley Jacob, and she left her life behind in New York 3 years ago along with a fiance. She's thrown herself into her berry basket business. She makes all types of berry related desserts and things like, you know, muffins, it sounds like even margaritas. And unfortunately her friend Natasha disappears after having this really strange dream. There's a lot of weird town secrets, and while Marley is on the hunt for her friend, she comes across a dead body. I can't wait for this. I'm so curious about this mystery. My friend Tiffany, I love her recommendations, and then the fact that this is a berry basket themed cozy, I can't wait. The other one is the second and last book, there's only 2 books in this series, of the Friend for Hire mystery series by Laura Bradford. I read the first book in this series, I believe it was in January, with my Patreon, and I loved it. The main character, Emma, is a friend for hire, which is a really fun concept. Basically, she works, if people need a friend for hire to show up as kind of like an accountability buddy at the gym, or if they need someone to show up with them because they're doing like comedy or something and they want someone in the audience clapping, cheering them on. It's just this really unique concept, and in this one, she's actually working with someone who recently got divorced. And the person she's helping primarily in this is Kim, and she just got blindsided in this like out of left field divorce, and she's having a really hard time. She's having empty nest syndrome. So Emma suggests, while she's helping her go through her things, why don't you make like kind of a bucket list for things you want to do that would bring joy to your life? And unfortunately, her ex, Kim's ex, ends up murdered, and Kim's a primary suspect, so Emma gets involved. I can't wait for this. There is a darling dog in this series, and it was so well written. It was such an interesting mystery. I'm hoping there's some more continued subplots from the first book in this. I can't believe there's only 2. I am so bummed about that. One that I checked out from my library is Killing Cupid by Laura Levine. This is part of the Jane Austen mystery series, which is probably like top 5 funniest cozy mystery series I've ever read. The main character is named Jane Austen, and she's a freelance writer, which I love. I'm a freelance writer as well, so I can relate to a lot of her things. She'll write pretty much anything you hire her for. She's ghostwritten like plays, she's made like toilet ads, like all of these funny things, and it's very self-deprecating humor, so I don't think it's for everyone, but if you like that type of humor, I would check it out. It's really funny. And her cat's name is Prozac, just to give you an idea of some of the humor in this. And Prozac is a bit of a pill, no pun intended. And this one's actually a Valentine's Day cozy. I should have read this earlier this year, but that's fine. Basically, she gets hired by this like matchmaker guy to write brochures and ads for like this matchmaking event he's throwing, but he's like a real taskmaster. No one likes him. He is not a very nice person. He ends up murdered, of course. Jane gets involved. This is just the funniest breath of fresh air type of cozy. It's a really great one to break up heavier reads, or if you're having like a bad day or bad week or something, this is one I save for when I need a very lighthearted, funny read. One that was so kindly sent to me by the author is Dead, White, and Blue by Annie McEwen. This is the second in the Northwoods mystery series, and this is a 4th of July cozy, as you can probably tell from this cover. And our main character in this is Emmy. She lives in the Northwoods, Wisconsin with her parents, who have this kind of like they rent like cabins. They kind of have like a I don't know if bed and breakfast, they do a food, but they kind of rent like cabins by the lake, and it's this beautiful setting. This author reminds me a lot actually of like Ellie Alexander's writing in a sense. I love it. She very kindly offered to send me this book after seeing me rave about the first book that I bought and I loved. So I'm so excited. I'm gonna probably save this for like a summer reading vlog if I can wait. See. But this one involves a 3-day 4th of July celebration in Wisconsin, and you know, the fireworks are heating up, all of these celebratory events and things are getting going, and then this local man who's not very well liked ends up being found dead, and of course Emmy gets involved. She's actually an interior designer by profession, which I think is an interesting, it gives her kind of an interesting like way of looking at things that I really like. And as you can tell by the cover, there's also some very cute dogs. So I am so excited. Thank you again to the author for sending this to me. I can't wait to read it. A couple that I got from my used bookstore that I am so, or not my used bookstore, my used library book sale. I got On the Lamb, a Kebab Kitchen Mystery by Tina Kashian. This is a really fun series, and this one of course does take place during Easter. I have read the first book in the series, which is Hummus and Homicide, and I loved it. And this is book 4, so I do have a couple I'll need to fill in beforehand, hopefully. And our main character in this is Lucy, and she's helping her family's Mediterranean restaurant prepare for Easter. But her friend Melanie, who owns a candy shop nearby, is having a rough time. They both attend a beach bonfire together, and they find a landlord's body. He was murdered. He or she was murdered, and Melanie unfortunately had a very contentious relationship with this person, so she's one of the suspects the police are kind of honing in on, so Lucy gets involved. I love the cover for this. It's beyond gorgeous, and Lucy is just such a wonderful character. There's so much family like moments and stuff with the Mediterranean food. Is delicious. Oh my goodness, it makes me want Mediterranean food so badly. It's one of my favorite types of food, and Lucy and her family are just wonderful characters. I can't wait to continue this series. Another one that I found that's part of a series I'm hoping to continue is the Alaskan Diner series, and this is Murphy's Slaw by Elizabeth Logan. I think this is the last book in the series. I think there's only 3. And this one, our main character Charlie runs an Alaskan diner. It was like her family's diner, and she has a cat named Eggs Benedict. She's got to be one of the most fun, cozy pet names I've come across in a while. And Charlie isn't a big fan of the state fair, but her best friend Annie, who very rarely asks for anything, begs her to go with her. So she attends the state fair for a day, and unfortunately one of the local vendors is found dead, and it turns out that Charlie and Annie also knew this person during their high school years. So it's kind of the general premise. I think I have one in between book 1. I think this is book 3, so I think I'll need to get a hold of book 2, but I just couldn't pass this up for $1, and I love the cover for this. Another one from a series that I'm going to start this year. It's the House Flippers mystery series by Diane Kelly. This is called Murder with a View. I think this is a few books into the series, but this one involves our main character Whitney and her cousin Buck, and they are carpenters who basically will renovate dilapidated down properties or things like that and then flip them for a profit. So this one takes place in Nashville, Tennessee, and they're flipping this kind of like motel, it sounds like, but they find a squatter in one of the rooms, and then her cat finds a body in the room adjacent to them. And unfortunately this was actually a like western kind of country star, I think is the body, and this person had a long line of female fans lining up to see them. It's left a lot of broken hearts, it seems. So Whitney is in over her head trying to solve this mystery. I haven't read this series yet, but I adore Diane Kelly's Mountain Lodge mystery series, so I'm pretty confident this will be a win. One that I picked up and ordered online, and I've been meaning to read this for the longest time, and it's by Courtny Bradley, as some of you might know, Courtagonist on YouTube. I will link her channel below. She is wonderful. This is her debut book, Death on Deck, and it's a nautical cozy mystery. And not only am I so excited for Courtny, this book came out I think in the fall, so I'm very late to this, but I wanted to read it for summer. And this one involves like this cruising crew of ladies in their 60s who are going on nautical adventures and of course come across a body. And they're basically facing retirement head on. They find a body on the cruise, they get involved in solving it. I've heard nothing but amazing things about this, and I love a cruise setting for any type of mystery, thriller, or anything like that, so I'm so excited to check this out. And the last one for purely cozy ones, I have some more mysteries, but a purely cozy one is Long Overdue at the Lakeside Library by Holly Danvers, and I believe this is a winter cozy based on the snow that I'm seeing on the cover. So this one involves our main character, Rainn Wilson, who has taken over her family's like little kind of cottage that's on the lakes in Wisconsin, but it also has, they have like a lending library because they don't, the town is so small, they don't have like a formal library, so her family kind of created this little library. It's like kind of in this large shed next to their home, and she runs that during the summer, but now she needs to wait out Wisconsin's brutal winters. And unfortunately she goes to this ice fishing competition, and this man, Benson, is found dead. And he recently checked out some cookbooks for a chili competition, so she goes to retrieve those cookbooks, and she finds this very kind of alarming note from him that's addressed to her, and she gets involved in the mystery. And this is actually book 2 in the Lakeside Library Mystery Series, which is perfect because I've read book 1, so this is the next one I needed. And I just love the covers on this. I can't wait to revisit Rainn. I thought her and her best friend in this were especially great, just a dynamic duo. I love the beautiful setting in Wisconsin. All right, and then kind of general mysteries here. I picked up 2 books actually because they were such a good deal. So even though I haven't read this series, I was kind of like, okay, we're gonna go for it. I picked up these at my library book sale, and these are the Veronica Speedwell mysteries, which I've heard so many good things about. They're by Deanna Rayburn, and I have a murderous relation and a treacherous curse. And how gorgeous are these covers? So beautiful. They take place in 1888. So these are, I think, like first and foremost historical fiction mysteries. I've heard they're on the cozier side. I don't think they're particularly graphic, but I will update you as I read them. And this one actually involves Jack the Ripper, which I think will be really interesting. It takes place in autumn 1888. This one involves a mystery surrounding this very handsome colleague of hers. So I'm really excited for this. I believe she's a very kind of like science, like meticulous kind of sleuth, and I'm really excited to see this heroine in action because I've heard nothing but good things about this series, and it really excites me to find it for $1 each. Okay, this is the last time I will check this book out from the library. I promise I'm going to read it this time. This was on my fall TBR. I didn't get to reading it, and then I ended up checking it out earlier this year, didn't get to reading it. This is it. And this is A Lethal Lady by Nekasa Afia. This is the Harlem Renaissance Mystery, so another historical mystery. This one is definitely not cozy. This is the 3rd book in this series. I am caught up on the series. Love the covers for this. Our main character is Louise, and she is in Paris. It's the 1920s. She's trying to get away from some of the mishaps in the first books, just kind of giving herself space. You definitely want to read these in order. And she gets involved with this kind of disappearance and like art criminal world because a desperate mother approaches her asking her for help finding her artist daughter who's gone missing, and there's a lot of maybe other things going on in the art world around her. And at first Louise refuses. She's more of a reluctant sleuth than some mysteries feature, but the mother has like a note from one of her friends back home, and she decides to take the case on. I think Louise is a great character. I found her just really relatable in many ways, very endearing, very, you know, she's reluctant. She doesn't dive headfirst into danger like a lot of sleuths do, which would probably be me if I was going to be sleuthing. And I love the historical fiction aspect of this. Definitely not cozy though. One I found used was The Fortune Teller by Gwendolyn Womack, and I'm not sure, I think this is like kind of a mystery, maybe part fiction. So this one kind of is like a historical mystery. I'm not sure if there's actually like a murder at the heart of this, but our main character is Samil, and she basically looks at manuscripts and different historical artifacts for auctioning, and she comes across this kind of part memoir, part prophecy related to Cleopatra, and she thinks it's going to be the find of her career, and she starts to dig into it. She asks this guy named Theo for help, but he's very arrogant. He's not giving it up easily, and this manuscript is somehow connected to some like 2,000-year-old secret, which really intrigues me, but someone else knows about its existence, so it doesn't sound like, it sounds like she might be in some danger, or they might be coming after the manuscript. I'm not sure. I've never heard of this. I just picked this up on a whim because the cover and the title and everything caught my attention. Let me know if you've read this, but it sounds kind of like, it's giving me kind of like Angels and Demons, Da Vinci Code vibes, with like kind of historical mystery, treasure hunt sort of thing, which I like, so I'm excited for this. Then I found a Mary Higgins Clark. This one is called All by Myself Alone, and it appears to take place on a boat or like a cruise ship, which, as I said earlier, I absolutely love a setting on a cruise ship, especially for a summer read. So our main character in this is Celia, and she is fleeing the arrest of her husband-to-be, who she's just humiliated by. She is a jewelry expert. She boards this cruise ship, and then she comes across this older woman named Lady M, who's planning on wearing this like beautiful emerald necklace. Unfortunately, she is murdered and the necklace goes missing. And so now Celia is on this case trying to figure out what happened to her friend. And unfortunately, she might be in a bit of danger herself because the killer noticed her relationship with Lady M. So this sounds like the perfect summer read, like a perfect summer mystery, and I have really enjoyed everything I've read by this author so far, so I can't wait to continue. And then last but not least, this is like a collection. It's called Historical Detectives, Cases Cracked by Judge D, Sister Fidelma, Sam Johnson, Auguste Didier, Elias Peters, and more. And it's really interesting because these are like short stories by famous authors, but it spans over, they're organized by time in history. So let me show you. So we have the ancient world, the Middle Ages, the Age of Discovery, Regency and Gaslight, and then Homes and Beyond. And so there's all these different short stories by well-known authors, starting all the way back in ancient Rome. So this is kind of a quick look at the breakdown here, and I thought this would just be really fun. My husband was actually interested in this as well. And yeah, there's the Wild West, Captain Cook, and I just thought this was a really unique find, and I think I got it for like $2 at the library book sale. I was like, I'll take a risk on that. Okay, hopping into thrillers, we have quite a few, and I am so excited for these. So one that was very kindly sent to me by the author is called Don't Tell by Mary Stone and Matt Gigerick, and this says safety is just an illusion. I think this is such a very creepy cover. So it doesn't list the main character's name on the back, all of it's written in first person, but basically the main character doesn't trust anyone. She's very, very wary of things. She had this toxic relationship with a high school teacher when she was, I think, in high school. She was nearly killed in an attack. Her dad abandoned her, and now 12 years later, she is working at this camp for troubled teens. She's really buried her past. Even her husband doesn't know about it, but she's waiting for the ball to drop, basically, because there's one crack that could kind of send everything breaking down, and that crack's name is Amanda, who shows up and kind of threatens everything she's built since her teen years. And then one of the campers also goes missing in a very similar way to an event that happened many years earlier. So it sounds like there's like a cold case element. I love it when a cold case connects to a present case, like kind of the past coming back to get you sort of trope in thrillers. So I'm really excited for this. I haven't read anything by this author, but thank you so much to Mary Stone for reaching out and offering to send this to me. I'm super excited. One that I picked up at my library book sale was The Lies I Tell by Julie Clark. And this is the cover here. It really caught my attention. It's an old library book, so it's a little beat up, but that is okay. And the names are Meg Williams, Maggie Littleton, and Melody Wild. Different names for the same person depending on the town and the job. So this woman with the 3 different names is a con artist. She's really adept at sliding into people's life and then disappearing. And Kat has been waiting all of these years to confront the woman who upended her life, presumably this person, but she gets closer and closer to her and realizes she's not the woman she thought she was. So this is described as like a twisty domestic thriller. It sounded right up my alley. I'm personally super fascinated in books about con artists. I find it really interesting to see how they, I guess, do their cons. It's just something I can't even like wrap my brain around, but it's just really fascinating to me. So I'm very excited for this. A library book I picked up was Close Your Eyes and Count to 10 by Lisa Unger, who I am just flying through her books, really enjoying them. This is her new release this year. So this is described as an extreme game of hide and seek, like kind of a reality TV show thriller, which I love. We have this kind of entrepreneur, crazy adrenaline seeker named Maverick, and he invites contestants to this island, or I guess they're playing some kind of extreme hide and seek kind of survival challenge, and things go crazy. There's a storm approaching, it's not quite as safe as it's supposed to be, and this is turning into more than a social media stunt like it was meant to be. One of our contestants, Adele, is who we're following. She's a mother and she's extremely protective. She's in it to win it for, I think, her kids, and will she make it out? We're gonna find out. I am so excited for this. I love the premise. This looks like it takes place in the spring or summer, based on the fact it takes place during like on an island, and it just looks kind of summery. So this is right up my alley for like a good summer spring read. I can't wait. I love reality TV or like competition shows in thrillers. I think it's just so fun. One I found at my library book sale was called Into the Water by Paula Hawkins. Now, I read The Girl on the Train and I didn't adore it. It wasn't terrible, but it wasn't my favorite. But I feel like the author had a lot of potential for what I might enjoy. So I grabbed this one used. This one involves a river in this small town where a single mother is found in the river. Later, a teenage girl is found there. It sounds a few weeks later. And these are not the only women, unfortunately, who have lost their lives or been found in this river. So the police are on this case. Then we're also reading from the perspective of this teenage girl who's been suddenly entrusted into her aunt, who she doesn't know very well's care. I don't know if maybe her mom was the one that was found, I'm not really sure, but she's been entrusted in her aunt's care. And her aunt has been dragged back to this small town after all these years, which is a place she vowed to never return to. This one just sounded extremely interesting, and again, something that I think will be perfect for spring and summer reading. Then I picked up The Inheritance by Trisha Saklacha. It says, most family reunions end in tears. This one will end in murder. And this one's got a lot of details, so I'm going to read a little bit of this because I don't want to confuse the names. But basically this family has gathered to this exclusive island off the coast of Scotland, and the patriarch of the family, who runs like the big business, Raj, is about to announce his retirement plans and like succession plans for the company. And his wife is really excited to have her husband back after all these years because it sounds like, you know, he's spent a lot of time away from her with the business, so she's excited to have him back. Myra, the golden child and owner of the island and host of the reunion, is unbeknownst to her family on the brink of bankruptcy. And then the son and supposed heir is torn between his love for his wife and his duty to his family. And then we have the youngest girl, Aisha, who is a party girl. So no one really expects her to get it because she doesn't take life too seriously, it sounds like. And Aisha can't pass up the opportunity to make some mischief while she's there. And then we have Asim, who is the son who's expected to inherit. His wife, Zoe, who's actually the outsider to the family, sounds like she lives a very like hashtag insta-perfect kind of life. I am so curious about this. I love family drama and thrillers, like will drama, that sort of thing. So I think this is going to be fascinating, especially with the island kind of remote setting. I can't wait to read this. This is a new to me author. And then last but not least, I have The Split by Sharon Bolton. This one I found used at my book sale. No matter how far you run, some secrets will always catch up to you. So this takes place primarily on this remote Antarctic island of South Georgia. Our main character is Felicity, and she's been on the run and in hiding from her husband, who was in prison for murder, but he was recently released. And even though she's in this very remote area, she's still worried he's going to find her. Then it sounds like we're also reading from the point of view of a doctor who's been digging into Felicity and her husband's past, and discovering that Felicity's been on edge for much longer than just the things going on with her husband. And he's actually going to be traveling, and the doctor's actually going to travel to South Georgia to try to meet up with Felicity. This sounds super interesting. I've never read anything by this author. It's a standalone. It's supposed to be a really good psychological thriller, and it does take place at the end of summer, like late summer. So I think I'll save this for the summertime when I'm wanting a cooling, colder read to kind of cool off, hopefully. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for hanging out with me today. If you enjoy book content, cozy content, or you love a good mystery thriller, I hope you'll hit subscribe. I talk about book content every week on my channel. My name is Amy Marie. Thanks for hanging out with me today, and I hope I'll see you guys soon. Please let me know, have you picked up any books recently from your library or used or online? I would love to hear about any books you might have picked up recently, and I'll see you guys soon. Bye!